Welcome to this webinar, the Toastmaster Guest Experience, presented to you by the Club Growth Team of District 105. Do you remember the first time you attended a Toastmaster meeting as a guest? Well, I'm sure you had a great experience. Perhaps the first time, or maybe the second, or I don't know. But something happened during one of those meetings in your early days as a guest that prompted and inspired you to join this amazing fraternity. And I invite you into this presentation today so that you can mindfully give the new guests that arrive in your club meetings an amazing experience. Now, who is this presentation for? Is it for district leaders, club officers, or members? Well, if you are a Toastmaster, then I invite you into this webinar to experience what you could offer to the guests when they come to attend the meetings in your clubs. To begin at the very beginning, when they come to your club, every club has a mission, the why. Toastmasters International describes the club mission as follows. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Now that is the mission of every club. I mean, we say a club, who executes the mission? Of course, the members, and that is you. What is the Toastmaster International's mission? Well, their mission is as follows. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Now, this is the Toastmaster International's mission, whereas the district has a separate mission. It is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. As a district officer, it is imperative for the district officers to give support to all the clubs that exist in achieving excellence, which means to share the best practices within other clubs to all the clubs, within the Toastmasters program, to bring it to the awareness of the club officers and the members. And this is exactly what we are doing in this webinar, bringing the best practices that are shared by clubs across District 105 and even outside District 105. Wherever we see something that is used to give the guests a great experience, we endeavor to bring it to you here. If at the end of this presentation you feel there is a good practice within your club that has not been shared over here, please do not hesitate to reach out to us and let us know so that we can further share with the rest of the district in new amendments to this presentation. Now, once again, to remind ourselves, what is a club mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience. Now, who becomes members? The guests become members one fine day, right? And it is for us to bring in as many guests as possible into our clubs. Now, why should we promote having guests? Guests brings in new perspective. Every guest who comes to your club, they have a rich history of experiences in their life, professional as well as personal. This is what they bring to the club meetings. They also add novelty to the meetings by bringing in their quirkiness or their innovativeness or their personality and their character, which adds flavor to the meetings. Guests could become advocates of the program. It might be that they would not perhaps find this suitable for themselves. It could be for a number of reasons, perhaps time, perhaps in their quest for personal excellence, this is not a priority at this point of time, but they would always find people in their circuit in their network who might be ideal for the program. So we should always ensure that we give them a great experience so that they become advocates of the Toastmaster program. It is also possible that they themselves might become new members of our club because of the great experience that they have. And therefore, our clubs will grow. And when our clubs grow, our membership grows, and therefore our members grow. Now, the guest journey is a 5-step process as defined over here. Where the first step is where you invite the guest. The second one is once you invite them, you engage with them. And once you've engaged with them, you follow up with them after the meeting, and then they either become a member or you re invite them so that they continue to be a guest and you continue to engage with them. So, what we're going to do over here today is we're going to share with you what are the different things that you can do at each step. Step one is what you do before the meeting. Step two is during the meeting, and step three onwards is after the meeting. Let's dive into step one, or here as it is called, stage one. In stage one, what you do is you encourage each and every member of your club to circulate the invite of the club meeting. Now, why is this important? It is not only imperative of the VP membership or VP PR to circulate the meeting invite. If they do so, and if that is the only thing that is done, then it the network that you're addressing is a small one. Whereas if you really want to expand the possibility of reaching out to a wider network, then when every member circulates the invite of the club meeting, the potential of people within their network, friends, family, colleagues, reaching out and asking what is the Toastmaster program increases manifold. So it is important that we encourage the members to circulate the meeting invite. Now, it has to be prepared but by the VPPR of the club. And if the meeting invite has to be prepared, then the VP education has to coordinate with the members to make sure that speaking slots are filled up and the theme of the meeting is decided beforehand. And once everything is together, the flyer is created and circulated, and the invitation is sent out. A reminder has to go out on the day of the club meeting. Why? Because people are busy. People might forget. People might have the intention to come and attend your meeting, but it is our responsibility to make sure that we do everything in our control so that we do not let our guests who could come and join forget about it because of some other distraction. So it is a good idea to send a reminder on the day of the club meeting itself during the morning, or if your meetings are in the morning, then the evening beforehand. A suitable marketing email strategy has to be identified, which means you have to have an email list and you have to have a focused, planned effort to engage with the guests. The idea is not to bombard them with emails, but to send them sufficient information so that they can make an informed decision. An exclusive guest WhatsApp group has been seen to be very effective to engage with the guests. These days, almost everyone is on a WhatsApp and they engage more and find it more personal than being on an email. You could use either a WhatsApp group or you could use also a WhatsApp broadcast group where you could send meeting informations and other relevant information that is connected to Toastmasters to the guests. An ideal way would be to do it with their permission. Facebook and Instagram is to be used to promote the benefits of the Toastmaster program. And you can also use platforms like Meetup, where you can advertise future meetings that are going to happen. Meetup has been found very popular for people who are searching for interesting gatherings to go and attend. And that brings us to the end of step one, which is what you have to do before the meeting occurs. Now, step two is to engage during the meeting. You have done everything that is to be done before the meeting, which is to invite and engage and identify the right prospects for your meetings to come and join. Once they come to attend your meetings, then it's time to engage with them. What can the club do to engage with the guests effectively? Step one is to identify and appoint a guest host team that includes a greet master and the VP membership and members of the club who are naturally good at engaging with strangers, which means they have an outgoing personality or they're extroverts and they have the capability and the charm to engage with people at first sight. A guest host team would know exactly what to say and how to make the guests feel comfortable while they come in for the very first time. How welcome they feel will define how great their experience is at these meetings. When it is a Zoom meeting, request the guests to rename themselves as guests followed by their name. This allows the guests to identify who are the other guests within the room, number one, and also for others to engage with these guests and make them feel at home or comfortable. Alternatively, if it is a physical meeting, provide a badge that will allow them to easily engage and communicate with each other without having to ask, "What's your name?" Because the name is very clearly visible and present, and they can start the conversation immediately after. Number two in stage two is to have a guest self introduction. So, what you saw before is having the name and making them feel welcome is before the meeting starts. A 10 to 15 minutes of networking, open networking time before the actual meeting starts is a good idea. Once the meeting starts during the presidential address, it is a great practice to allow the guests to introduce themselves. And while how they introduce themselves can be by including two questions that they have to answer during the introduction. And the president can ask them these two questions. And these two questions have their own purposes. Question number one is, what brought you here? Now, this, of course, is followed by introducing their name first, but after that, asking them, what brought you here? This defines their intention, and how this helps is it reminds them of why they are there. So, therefore, they will be mindful during the remaining time that they spend at the Toastmaster meeting, because it's not somebody else telling them why they're there, but they themselves reminding themselves and sharing with the crowd why they are there. And the second one is, who invited you here? This allows the member to acknowledge the one who invited them. This allows them to practice gratitude. This allows them to be more positive and sets the tone for the entire meeting in a very positive note. It also allows the club to appreciate the member who invited the guests to attend the meeting. At the beginning, you can also inform the guest about a guest orientation that will happen at the end of the meeting. The purpose of this guest orientation is to ensure that they can have any questions that they might have after attending the meeting and see that they leave without any doubts about the Toastmaster program. The next stage is to invite the guest to participate in table topics. Now, when do you do this? You can surprise the guest by inviting them during the table topics segment. But a better way would be during the open networking at the beginning of the meeting or before the meeting starts to ask the guests if they would like to participate in an impromptu speech. Tell them that it will not be difficult, it will be easy, and ensure that they are given topics that allows them to participate in a comfortable manner. To elevate this experience of presenting in the table topics or the impromptu speech as a guest, what the club can do as a best practice is assign one member from within the club to give feedback either publicly during the meeting if the agenda permits it, or to personally give them a feedback at the end of the meeting or after the meeting personally to them. This will allow them to actually experience what the Toastmaster program is by getting evaluated by a professional Toastmaster. The next step is to request for feedback from the guest during the closing remarks by the president. This allows the guest to reinforce their learnings and also help the club see things from an outside perspective. While the guest shares their feedback to the club, they are also reinforcing to themselves what a great experience they have had if they have had it, and therefore it encourages them at a subconscious level to participate and become a member of this club. The next step is to organize a guest orientation. As mentioned earlier, soon after the meeting is over, if it is online, then in a breakout room, let the VP membership meet with the guests and organize an orientation. This will allow the VP membership to collect the guest details, which could be their emails and phone numbers, so that you could add them to the guest WhatsApp group and to the email strategy where you can send future emails. You can do this with their permission. Show them the Toastmaster introduction video. This can be found on YouTube on the Toastmaster International's YouTube channel. Provide them with a welcome kit. Towards the end of this webinar, I will share with you the different elements of what you could provide with them in the welcome kit. Answer any queries and give the information that would help the guests to make an informed decision. Make sure that the guest orientation does not take too much time, because they have already perhaps spent about 2 hours or 2.5 hours in your club meeting, and they wouldn't want to stay for another 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So encourage your guests to have a quick guest orientation, make it as crisp as possible. Tell them that on a personal level, if they want more information, it will be provided to them and they can reach out to you one to one and therefore clarify anything further. And that brings us to the end of stage 2 or step 2 of what do you do during a meeting. Next comes stage 3, or what do you do after the meeting. Now, after the meeting is following up. Based on the agreement at the end of the session, follow up with the guests after the meeting on an agreed upon date if they would like to clarify anything further. After the guest orientation, if they still have more questions or doubts and they would like to engage or clarify certain things, then make sure that you do that for them effectively. And if they decide that they want to become a member, then go to stage 4, which is enroll them as a new member. And if they do not yet want to become a member, then allow them to go to step 5, where you would add them to the WhatsApp and email group of guests so that you can re-invite them for future meetings. Do the same, like I said again, with their permission. Now, during stage 4, if they want to become a member, then process the payment and ask them to make the payment to the treasurer and then pay TMI for the membership and enroll them. Add the new member to the club WhatsApp group. Make them feel welcome, and if you can create a flyer with introduction about the new member, that would be even more encouraging. And if they choose to not become a member at this point of time, then add them to the re-invite category and accept their decision, which is the most important thing. Do not be forceful. Do not be pushy. Be inspirational. Make sure that they want to become a member because they have seen something from your club and the experience that it is right for them. Send a thank you mail for attending the meeting. Now, this can come from the president of the club, and make sure that it is pleasant and you can introduce the club and perhaps even share testimonials from other members that will allow them to see what the club is about. But make sure that you express gratitude for their attendance. And if they have attempted the table topics, then share the evaluation as well. This becomes a great opportunity for the club to engage with the guest and add value to them before asking them to join. And re-invite for future meetings. So make sure that at least 4 days before the meeting, you send them the next invitation of your meeting. And like they say, woo them till you win them. And that brings us to the end of step 5. The guest welcome kit could include the following. When you are sending them an email after they've attended the meeting, you could send them the Toastmaster introduction video. You could send them the application form if they've decided to join the club. The personalized welcome letter from the president of the club can go out to the guests. A video or a document to narrate the history of the club could be shared with them. You could send them the contact details of the club officers or the XCOM officers. The fee structure should be shared. Keep it as transparent as possible. If you can give them the 6 months and the 1 year options, please do the same. Share with them a sample meeting agenda. Share a Toastmasters magazine. If you have the online one, share the online one. If they come for physical meetings and you have a physical copy sample, please share them as well. A lot of members who are members of multiple clubs usually have extra copies of the Toastmasters magazine. A best practice that is done in clubs is they collect these extra copies and keep it in store so that when guests attend the meetings, these are distributed. What can also be shared with new members or guests is the Pathways program, where the Icebreaker project is available as a sample on the Toastmasters website. I'll be sharing a link over here very quickly. In the email, you will find most of these things as samples along with this presentation. The Toastmasters also has manuals which are created, which explains the membership growth, for instance. It shows you how to convert a prospect into a member. There are flyers and resources such as these, which are created by the Toastmasters International, that is also being shared with you along with this presentation in the email. You will find these resources on the Toastmasters International website for free download. Flyers, pamphlets are all available for you to make sure that you share as much resource as possible with your guests. Now, you don't have to share all of them together with the guest. You can share with them on a stage by stage process. And that is what I meant when I said have an email marketing strategy. Identify what is the first email, the second email, the third email, etc., that would go out. What would be the interval and how you would want to do it. There is no hard and fast rule. You can always choose what is best for your club. It gives us the opportunity to practice our PR skills and learn, innovate, and be creative in these endeavors. As you can see over here, the Icebreaker project is offered for free as a sample in different languages that people can download. Anyone can download. You do not have to be a member. You don't even have to have a login to access the Icebreaker speech. Once you click on English, this is the page where you will see the Icebreaker. You can actually go through the entire project, do the assessment, and do the project from the Toastmasters International website. This is available for anyone. And I repeat, for anyone. You do not have to be a member of Toastmasters to experience the Icebreaker Level 1 project. An added incentive is to recognize the members who brings in the guests into your meetings. By acknowledging the members who invited the guests into the meeting, what you're doing is you are raising the morale of the members. This gives them the incentive to bring in guests to future meetings as well. If you can maintain a scoreboard to document the members that brings in the guests, it inspires them again to see and compete with each other and therefore raise the quality of the club by raising the number of members within the club. Reward the sponsor of the month. A sponsor is someone who brings in a guest and that guest converts into a member for the club. Reward the sponsor each month who brings in the most number of guests that converts into a member. Do the same at the end of the year for the one who brings in or who brought in the maximum number of guests that converted into a member. Toastmaster International already does recognize such sponsors. Your club can do it at the club level as well. This inspires members to keep growing themselves by growing the membership of the club and therefore growing the right kind of culture within the club. This presentation is brought to you by the District 105 team of Club Quality. We're thankful to Rani Abulrup, who is the Club Growth Director and who inspires, motivates, and guides us to bring out the best within the district and share it with all the clubs. I'm your Club Quality Chair, Samir Geepee, and the rest of the team are as follows. DTM Vidya Rani has been instrumental in collating and putting together this presentation. Ramanujam Raghavan DTM, Arnal Messi, Ahmed Abdullah, and Khulud Abdullah are all part of the team who have valuably contributed to this presentation. Now, this presentation is not 100% perfect one, perhaps. You might see that there are other best practices, perhaps within your clubs, or you have seen it in some other club that you feel could add value. We are always open to receiving feedback and improvements and suggestions so that it can be shared with the rest of the district. Our goal is to make sure that we collate and share with club officers and members across District 105 so that we can elevate the experience of every member, whether they are new or been around for a long time. We make sure that we support in every manner possible. I'd like to thank you for staying till the end of the presentation, and I hope you found value in this presentation. Every insight that you have can be a stepping stone to a new experience that a guest might have. Thank you and have a great day.